panic disorder, rage, severe depression. On top of all that, I'm stressing. Took a blind date to my therapy session and then tried to kill her. Her first impression was I'm groovy, I need a lumbotomy. But when I press play, trouble leaves up out of me. Fuck the real world and my fat ass stuck in. Cause in my music, hotties are fucking expression. Getting out all I wrote, depression, ripping out all your throat. And if my hearing was ever to go, mass murder would be inevitable.
Welcome to Maniacal Music Musings. You all know that these streets know my name. This podcast, she's my sin, and I'm head over feet into her. It's ironic that while I'm recording it, I have my hand in my pocket. Wink, wink. But I'll end my wanderlust of words to start this party. With me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, and God did me a favor by having us meet. He is a kinslayer, as circus folk do, and though he's crownless, he'll keep writing his dead boys' poems. Chancy Greif, ladies and gentlemen.
You ought to know.
I was like, Chancy's like, you motherfucker.
I was like, I have no idea what to say to that, so I'm gonna come up with something. I'll think of something.
And our guest tonight has been on my other show, and when Chancy heard him talking, he's like, "You need to get him on our music show." And I'm like, "I can do that. I could put that out there in the world." So our guest tonight from a Millennial's Third Eye podcast, Joe LoCastro.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Thank you for the awesome intro.
Yep. See.
Yeah.
Ain't no
Something
thing.
about me timeline jumping. This is what happened last time, but I heard of what you said, and I appreciate you. Thank you for the awesome intro. So I was there.
Problem. I figured you heard me, but you were just frozen in between timelines, you know.
Yeah, it just happens.
So
I it's used to it after years of dealing with different stuff. I was like, you know what? This is what it is, and we just keep going.
Yep, and that's what me and Chancy do the best, is small talk while we figure things out. But since you're back, we will start like we always do with our guest album. Joe, what album did you bring to the table, and why did you want to bring it to the table?
So I brought DJ Khaled's new album called God Did It.
God is great. Nosedive, they just praying that I crash. But those guys, they don't want to see you last. That Jagged $3 million above your tax. A tub full of money, I still can't relax. Time spinning, Lord forgive me, I'm a sinner. Conquer, divide niggas. Wrong side of the petition, only divine winning. Better listen when I tell you how I...
And synchronicities, we're talking. It's crazy how I was listening to one of your older episodes and I heard what Chancy was saying. Synchronicity in the albums was like, yo. I do a lot of spiritual studying, and I don't kind of know exactly I'm supposed to be studying this. I'm guided to do a lot of work that most people would think, okay, that's cool. All right, do your thing. So I do my thing, and I'm sometimes up late at night. Sometimes I don't sleep. Sometimes it's the self-work. And as I was doing the self-work, I kept, for my journey, I always said like source, universe, God, creator, whichever words you want to use, architect. I got to this big realization, big. And at the same time, music was in this frequency of a bigger message. Like I can't even listen to music the same way anymore. I see it and hear it differently. Like I could taste the colors. So DJ Khaled's album,
Nothing wrong with a little synesthesia amongst friends, right?
came up to me on YouTube in different ways, and the messages were exactly where I was at. And a lot of us go through different challenges in life, whether it's people, spiritual, energy, emotion. And a lot of people didn't want to see me succeed, and they still don't want to see me succeed. So when that album hit my body, I was just like, yes. Gratitude was something big recently with me, and Gratitude's a song in there. Gratitude literally brings in all this clarity that we seem to be looking for and trying to understand. And that when we're grateful, we understand why we were acting out the way we were acting out, because we were ungrateful. So many things happened with that album. So that's why I wanted to bring it. God did it.
Nice.
I didn't do it.
Nice.
God.
That's my excuse for a lot of things in life. But I mean, Chancy, what do you think of this album?
So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. DJ Khaled is not my go-to artist for anything.
Everyone's
But honestly, like I always try to go into it as professional as possible. Like in circumstances like this, if I don't like the actual artist for whatever reason, if they do an album that has a lot of collabs, then I'll listen to the collabs, especially of the ones that I like the one he did with Jay-Z and M and Juice World and all those. There's epic songs on there. But in my opinion, I feel that they had a lot more to do with the people he was working with rather than himself. Like, not to take away from his ability as a producer, it's a very difficult thing to put a piece of music together from nothing and call it art. But at the same time, I've always believed that you can be a producer and an artist, and only a very, very slim, narrow margin of people can be both in history, anyway.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think I heard of DJ Khaled at some point. I don't know when or why, but I think I've heard of him. And like, so when I saw the album, I was like, all right. And I didn't know what to expect. I mean, he's a DJ, and I listen to some DJs, so I mean, but I saw the songs. I'm like, all right, a lot of big names in these songs, and he's just doing the beats. Like that's all he does is the beats and like some shouting in the background, maybe a couple of them. But
A couple. I was gonna say you've heard of him. How could you not hear of him? He's like the poster child of shameless, promotion.
I guess. Oh, actually, the only thing I heard about him is when I announced it to some of my podcasting friends of who the guest picked this week.
Yeah.
My friend Amanda was like, "Oh, I hate him." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because he said in an interview a while back he was talking about his sex life with his wife, and he said that he expects her to give him blowjobs, but he refuses to return the favor."
Oh, I mean, like everyone's different. I mean, like my musical choices aren't because of people's interviews, but I also
Personally, yeah.
that point of view.
I mean,
like,
I also, I mean, I ain't gonna stop listening to somebody because of some shit like that. But I mean, Amanda told me it, so I had to point it out because, I mean, Amanda's a feminist to the fullest, so I 100%.
It's valid.
I mean,
It's a valid argument.
her opinion.
I mean, I don't agree with his opinion at all. I mean, I definitely will return the favor in my own personal life, but
yeah,
I don't get why he wouldn't. But whatever, to each their own.
I mean,
even the weirdest of ways, but.
He probably had a bad experience one day, went home after the bar, and it was a really hot day in the club. I'm telling you, dude, that's what happened. He took him down, and you know how when they get stuck, they do that waft thing when you pull them down to the knees? Like, he got hit with that motherfucker, and he was like, nah, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah, that's when you start questioning why are we clubbing in a fish factory. But
right.
But yeah, the album itself, though, I actually didn't mind. I mean, it's definitely not my style of rap I usually would listen to, as my rap usually involves killing people. But it was definitely good music. I mean, good music. I didn't like every song, but a lot of songs I did like, and some of the people on it really blew away their parts. So I definitely was able to pick a top 5 with an honorable mention or 2. So hell yeah.
Hey, thanks for checking it out. I appreciate it. Either way.
Oh, of course. I mean, I'd listen to fucking Alanis Morrisette for this. I'd rather listen to DJ Khaled.
I was gonna say if I have to listen to DJ Khaled, I'm making him listen to Alanis Morrisette. So, so I'm not the only one that's gonna have to sit through something. I do it to him. He hates it. He just hates it.
So, Joe, what were your top 5 songs since it's your album?
Of my own album that I picked?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I wrote down. I had a lot of notes because I want to make sure I was ready for it. So one of the top 5 songs I picked was "Being Grateful," the Grateful song, because it's literally everything that brought me into this recent chapter of my life. And gratitude, I have learned. This is going to be a lot of spiritual stuff. I hope you guys don't mind. It's kind of weird,
good,
rap, and then like spiritual. So I had to learn. One of my friends was like, you should practice gratitude, and I was like, you know what, after all this, like, I might as well try. I've been this far in my journey, and once I practiced gratitude, one of the biggest events was something I turned from this thing or place or subject that I felt, it was the court system, and I felt so disempowered because I couldn't tell my point of view. My public attorney wasn't even like talking to me and lied. I was like, oh yeah, me and Joe talked, and I was like, no, we didn't. Literally told. So I'll tell you the true story. Was my ex was very toxic, wanted to take me to court for order protection over. I could have proved myself from the first statement, and I kept feeling this need, and I practiced gratitude, and I was like, why do I need to tell my story? And I realized I don't need anyone to prove anything, and I took this thing against me and flipped it around, and now I was empowered. So this gratitude song was just literally everything is good. We just have to see the good in the dark sometimes, or the light in the dark. The other songs I picked were God Did It, because to me, we're all a piece of God or source creator, and we have this dream, passion, desire to create something, and we realize that everything we've been through is a part of the journey. No secret, meaning like if you do the work on yourself and love yourself and do studying or find what you're passionate about, you'll find the value of your own work, your personal work, your value of your job, the value of money in abundance. Like, there's no secrets to this. And I was like, I get it. Staying alive was one of the top, because a lot of people want to see me fail. A lot of people, they might not say like, hey Joe, I hope you fail. Like, there's a lot of people that don't want to see us happy. And music from this album literally brought me to thriving through moments where I didn't want to like continue my dream, and staying alive and realizing like I'm not the only one in the world, especially artists. I actually picked 6, but I'll just keep going real quick.
Go ahead, man.
It Ain't Safe was one of them, because you have to be vicious sometimes with what you feel is right. A lot of people don't understand, like, speaking your truth and being your authentic self is this real easy thing. And sometimes you got to be like, no, I don't want to fucking do that.
Right.
Then there's times and places with certain people where you just have to put in like family. Love my family, but I had to do a lot to get here. So to be It Ain't Safe was like, always remember, someone's going to try to knock you down and pull you away from your reality, and keep moving forward with what's right in your heart. Work for it, even though it's very feminine. I see the duality of life in different ways.
Right.
So even though she's like in the feminine talking about you can have this this sex and all this shit, and you're gonna have to work for it. Like, even the same as a master, you have to work for this now. Like, you see the value, and I see the value in myself. Now other people are gonna have to work for it. So I love this album, and thanks for letting me share it with you guys.
Oh no, by all means. You know, like I said, even though it's not something I would go to on a regular basis, it's like a friend of ours, Shanna, said that one great thing about this show is that it gives us the ability to experience, even like for the listeners, they get to vicariously experience music that they wouldn't always listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for this is exactly that scenario for me, because I've honestly can't say that I've ever sat through a whole DJ Khaled song up until listening to this album for the show.
That's cool.
And also, do not let any of them bring you down. The only reason they want you to fail is so that they can actually harbor their beliefs and their misguided, belief systems. They want you to fail, because if you fail, then they're right.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot.
And yes, they have to sit through a lot of weird music tastes with me and Chancy's music taste, but that's 100% true. 100% true. But Chancy, why don't you give your top 5 for Joe CD next?
So number 5 for me was the Jadakiss interlude.
Yeah.
Fucking dude, love Jadakiss. Like, I was like, what? I was like, oh my god, it's got Jadakiss on the song. Oh no. And then obviously right after Jadakiss, you got Juice WRLD did. I was like, Juice WRLD, like, okay, all right, this one's going on the list for sure. I wrote it down before I played it, and then I played it, and I was like, it stays on the list.
Nice.
Number 3 for me was Use This Gospel. because I never thought I'd ever see an album where M and Kanye would work together on on a song together, and it really wasn't that bad. Like I figured Kanye's ego would get, M's work ethic would kind of like fuck the process up, so to speak, but it went together really well.
Yeah.
Number 2 was God Did, because I love Jay-Z and Lil Wayne to a certain degree. And then Jeremy, I had to do it. You know what my number 1 is, don't you?
The intro.
My number 1 is the intro. No secret.
Yes, such a good one. That was dope.
Chancy is hooked on intros.
Yeah, I'm a big sucker.
Intros, interludes, he loves them all. He's just strange like that sometimes. But
I mean, it's considered a
love him for it.
track. It's considered a track on the album, so I put it on there just to fuck with him. Like he'll be like, sometimes I can get him to where he doesn't expect it, and then I tell him, and he's like, "Oh, I fucking knew it."
On the Slim Shady LP last week, he seriously had a list of the top 5 freaking skits as well as the top 5 songs. So
I at least I gave you songs, all right. I gave you a top 10, top 5 skits, top 5 songs.
CD.
I know. That's why I picked it. That's why I picked it. I wanted to be able to do that for once in my life.
All right. Well, I had one honorable mention for this CD, and that was Use This Gospel, because I couldn't leave it off the list. It was on the list originally, and it got kind of pushed down, but I couldn't leave it off completely. Number 5 was These Streets Know My Name, because that song was banging. Like, that song was banging. Number 4 was Beautiful, because, I mean, that song was just beautiful. Like, it was very well done. I forget who did all these, though. Number 3, of course, was God Did, because that was just a banger with, like, 10 rappers on it. It was oh
dude,
my God.
That lineup was sick.
And it's like, I don't know, I guess that whole song was like, damn, he got this many people to work together and do a song together, and, like, it's just good. I mean, you don't usually see rappers having a religious side unless it's, like, Kanye Jesus Walks era, but...
Right.
Which I used to rock that song in high school so hard, but even though I wasn't religious, I still rocked it. The whole thing of him at the MTV Movie Video Awards coming out of the casket while singing it and shit, like, it was just like overdose like awesomeness. Number 2 was the Jadakiss interlude, though, because it's fucking Jadakiss, and I'm from New York, so that song just hit my heart so bad. And number 1, which I'm surprised nobody else put in the top 5, was Party, because of the Eddie Murphy fucking pull. Oh my God! When I heard that, it was literally like, my girl wants to. I was like, what? I haven't heard this song. I haven't heard this song in like a fucking decade. What?
I thought about it. I really thought about it, mostly because of that song. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna. I don't know. I was gonna say. I feel like hammered shit. I'm not going for too many honorable mentions on this run.
I mean, and Staying Alive was technically an honorable mention too for me, because I did like that they kind of took the Bee Gees like for a second there, but and that's the only reason it was on my honorable mentions, because I like that part. The rest of it wasn't that great to me, but I did love that part because I love a good track steal. And when they did it for Eddie Murphy, I was like, and for the Bee Gees, I was like, whoa.
Oh, those samples.
Yeah, those samples. I call them track steals.
I'm almost as much of a sucker for a good sample as I am for a fucking good intro or a skit, man. Honestly, I tell you what.
Mm-hmm. That's why you loved when I brought Esham to the table, but
right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's the buildup.
The fact that they used Eddie Murphy was just like fucking hilarious. Like, I was like, oh my God, this song hasn't been talked about in like 20 years. So, yeah. Only the OGs know that song. That's for damn sure.
To be honest with you, I think it was like a couple months ago where I was like, wait, Eddie Murphy sung this song? And I like was scrolling through the rabbit holes of YouTube and I went, where have I been? Like,
oh,
Eddie Murphy sung that, I think, like back in '84.
Eddie Murphy and Rick James.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he and then in the late 2000s he did another good song with Snoop Dogg called Red Light.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean,
I
Snoop
forgot
Dogg's only
about that.
Snoop Dogg's only in it for like an actual song for a second, but the whole video he's sitting there stoned as fuck dancing. But
Now I gotta find this. I did not know this.
Yeah, right. I didn't either.
it was during Snoop Dogg's Snoop Lion phase, so he was
Oh, yeah.
he was very reggae at the time, and like the song is reggae-ish, but it's still amazing. Like I even showed it to my fucking dad at the time. He was like, "Wow," he's like, "That's actually a good song." He's like, "Eddie Murphy can still do this shit."
Eddie
But-
Murphy could always sing for sure.
Yeah. Oh my god, I just watched Trading Places the other day, and I was like, I never saw it, and I just watched it for a bracket I'm on another show, and I was just like, oh my god, like his laugh alone kills me every time.
I love that in Trading Places, the dude in the jail where he's always like, "Yeah." That's all he ever says.
Yeah.
This guy's like, "He said you pulled up here in a limousine." Yeah. You mean if we go outside right now, there's gonna be a limousine right out there? Yeah.
Well, Chancy, we'll go with your album next just to get this pain over. What was your album? What was your album, and why did you choose it?
I chose Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill because while you may hate it for all the wrong reasons, I love it for all the reasons that so many people don't know about. Like, this album was written in a time frame when her and Uncle Joey were dating.
I know about her and Dave Coulier. I've heard it talked about on Surreal Life.
Right. But this whole album, like that album's that whole timetable. And you can tell how like all the songs are put in like odd angled. Like you can't see the happy to the angry. But like, you know, like just all of the songs on there, you can tell like when they're happy. Like I want to get the original lineup so I could just like progressively see the emotional change through the recording of the music. And then you get to like You Ought to Know, which fucking is amazing.
Yeah, I saw that when I was listening to it. I already like some songs by her. And when I was actually focused on the review, I saw that what you were talking about, that build up from emotions up and down. And I was like, oh wow. That's why I was thinking there's no coincidence on these album choices, because I saw it go from like death to rebirth. I saw it go from emotional, physical to spiritual. I saw like there's all these trinities of like threes. I'm like, okay, all right.
And there's three of us on the show.
Yeah. So,
The synchronicities continue. So, was that your review there,
Yeah.
Joe? Or
Oh yeah, Joe, yeah.
oh,
I know it was your review, fool.
to continue that, what else? I have songs that I picked. I'm sure we're gonna go around that, but
Yep.
I'm like you said, there's gonna be artists that we don't come across often, or so when I was actually focused on a review for it, I actually was more focused on the messages and the build up and things I haven't seen before. So there's a couple songs here that I was like, wow, I actually didn't appreciate this as much as I should have before. And I'm glad I got to go back to it because it's where the emotions are when I was getting this album. We kind of oversee in this world a lot of different people, whether it's a celebrity or an artist or a friend or a person that we knew or we kind of know or don't know. Like we're all going through something. And so this just brings me back to this synchronicity or this vibration of understanding where we all go through something. And this came out like beautifully. I kind of loved listening to it in depth more. So I'm glad you picked it.
I'm glad somebody enjoyed my pick, Jeremy.
And speaking of not enjoying your pick, let's get to my review.
Yes, let's do.
Because, oh my god, I was trying to play video games while I was listening to this album yesterday, and it was like, I'm like, who's torturing a cat? That's like, oh my god, is the most screechy cat singing I've ever heard. I mean, and my top 5 are all songs I knew before too, because you can hear like this at least half the CD on freaking supermarket radio stations. But
Yep.
so I mean, but Jesus, like it's just. I mean, it's all in like movies and TV shows I watch too, but it's just, oh my god, it's like a cat screeching for most of these songs. Like I don't like her voice, and I knew about her and the Dave Coulier thing, like Uncle Joey, for like many years now, like 20 years or so. But
Yeah.
so, and I mean, it's kind of funny that
I think it makes it better.
She fucked the goofy uncle, but yeah.
I mean, he did the weird ass voice when he was fucking. He did that shit in bed. You know it. He had at least once.
Just like in Booty Call, man. Just like in Booty Call.
One more time. You can get it. Just one more time. Do it for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. His fucking Bieber voice he probably did all the time.
Yeah, that fucking yeah.
Or what was it, Bieber or a groundhog or a woodchuck? I can't remember.
It was a
woodchuck.
shit.
I think. Oh, it was a woodchuck because he always did the wood jokes. Like he always did the wood jokes on Full House with it. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a woodchuck on Full House.
Yeah, but fucking Uncle Joey.
There was some songs. I don't know which songs they were, but I was like, yeah, nah. No, there was one. I think it's Forgiven. I wrote down. I was like, yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't know. And then I skipped it, went back and went, no, I got to listen to this. Hold on. And so, but there was a couple.
All right, Chancy, your album. What are your top 5?
Oh, I knew my top 5 without even having to listen to it. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, number 5 for me, always like bottom of the list of it is Ironic. I mean, that was the first one that came out for first video. It's a decent song. Problem is that nothing she describes is really ironic.
I know, right?
But we'll suspend disbelief for a little while and just it's a song. It's art. It's art. It's art. But number 4, You Learn. I mean, that song hit me in a lot more ways than one. Like, not just listening to her sing about her learning life lessons. I'm assuming after Dave Coulier split for some other slit down the way. And number 3 was the only one that I actually had to listen to, like, for 10 seconds to make sure it was the one that I thought it was. And that's All I Want. And just because, I always get them mixed up. And I always got All I Want, and I think it was that Forgive or Forgiven or whichever one you were talking about, Joe.
Yeah.
I always got those two mixed up, and I was like, well, no, I don't think that's the case because I think it's this one. So I played it, and I was like, yeah, that's the one. Number 2 for me is Head Over Feet. And then number 1, obviously, is You Oughta Know, because in my opinion, I think it would be absolutely amazing if they did like a cover remix of a heavy metal band, all dudes, no word changes. So, like, especially when it gets to the part where will she go down on you in a theater? Are you thinking of me when you fuck her? Like, all of it.
Yes, I am, Chancy. I'm thinking of you, Chancy.
Just keep it the same, right? So that way when people are listening to it, because, most of the time they're not really listening to half of it anyway. And then they're like, did he just say go down on you in a theater?
You don't
restart.
Build up to when she says it,
right?
It's like this big, like, I forget. I can't do it myself, but it's like when you hear it, it's like, oh shit,
right? Yeah, it's like yeah, I don't remember the exact lineage.
I think it's I went down you at a movie theater or something like that.
It's like
in a theater. I don't know how she says. She puts a lot of emphasis.
Is she as perfect as something as can be? Is she perverted like me? Will she go down on you in dramatic pause a theater?
Yeah.
And I didn't hear the theater part until like the second time she said it, and I was like, oh. I started like, will she go down on you? And then like I didn't hear the next word. I couldn't understand what she said. And then like I heard it again. I was like, oh, that's
I'm gonna
awesome.
put that in my Tinder profile now.
Right?
Will you be like Alanis Morissette and be like that in the theater, or go down on me in the thing? If not, life's not worth living. I mean, hey,
Valid.
Hey, you don't want to do the Pee Wee Herman thing, so you got to have someone with you. So
I was honestly, I was always really pissed about that. Like for real, for real. Because I grew up watching Pee Wee's Playhouse, and I was a huge fan, and I didn't understand why Pee Wee Herman got in so much trouble. And then I learned, like growing up, what the whole thing was, and it's like, so hold on, you mean to tell me a grown ass man paid hard earned money to go to a movie theater with other consenting adults to watch a movie, and he got in trouble for it?
yeah, it was just because of the '90s satanic panic shit.
I thought it was it was the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the '90s satanic panic bullshit. That's why, like, Pee Wee's trying to corrupt your children in a theater that only 18 plus over can go to.
Yeah, right. I was like, hold up. You mean to tell me that this guy got in trouble for doing something that people can do on the regular? It's not like, you got all these people that are famous nowadays that are getting in trouble for some like real messed up shit, like Matt Lauer and whatnot, like Jeffrey, what is that? Epstein guy, the guy that fucking got
Yeah.
fucking. I mean, it's a guy at a movie theater paying his own money, watching a movie. Shame on all of them. Yes.
Yes. So, was that your whole top 5, Chancy, or did we
Yep.
cut you off in the middle?
No. I just kept going. I figured
All right.
you could either hear me or you just didn't care, so it was all good anyway.
All right. Well, it's funny because I didn't plan it this way, but my whole top 5 are ones I knew. I didn't know if that's the way it was going to end up, but that's the way it ended up. Because
actually, I don't think Joe, you didn't give your top 5, Joe.
Oh shit! Yeah, it is Joe's turn. I told you.
I don't know the order.
Yeah, guest always goes first after whoever's CD it is. So like with your CD, you go first, and
so my
blame it on the corona.
My number 5 was Forgiven. Even though I think her story was a much different story, I don't know like the depth of her life, but what I kept listening to and hearing was that as much pain we carry with a situation or what we have been through that's like traumatizing, she says like everyone's there for a reason. We were there for a reason. So there's a lot of learning in different aspects. What someone else takes from it could be something what someone else needs to learn. And as much as we're mad about it, like there's a reason. So we got to learn forgiveness, and it's not always easy to do that. My 4th was Head Over Feet, because like I was already on this God trip. So God is unconditional love to me, or source, creator, universe, whatever people think. So the more I see that, the more I'm finding that God is this love that everyone's looking for. Universe is all it is. And the best listener, the best friend, the most patient. Like to me, I was like, wow, what's going on in my life right now with this album? After I just picked God Did It. And I was picking songs I haven't really heard before. Like I've heard the top favorites. And so I was like, this is going to be different. Hand in My Pocket was number 3.
All I Want, yeah.
Because she's discussing about how like I have my hand in my pocket, I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm still good. I could be poor. I could be all these things that seem like it could be like the end of the world, but you know what? I'm going to keep my hand in my pocket and everything's fine. And I was like, bet, say less. I got it. Number 2 was Wake Up. And she talks about the path of least resistance, something I'm always focused on. And we all have this passion and dream. And a lot of people aren't really going to understand that, but we're called to it and we're pulled to it. And the more I learn about the path of least resistance, it's literally like, oh, I'm not worried about that thing that I want. And it's waking up to letting go of control, and no matter where you are, what time it is, get up and get out. And literally, I was doing this review earlier today too. I wanted to be fresh, and I was still not like dressed or doing anything for myself on my day off. So I went out, and that was like treating myself. I needed little things like that too. And number one, if I'm going in the right order, ironic. Ironic because it isn't ironic, and it also reminded me that we can keep focusing on these moments and letting them destroy our day, or embracing it is how I saw it. Yeah, there's this guy that never wanted to fly in a plane and crash, and how ironic, but everything happens for a reason. If we keep losing ourselves over it, we're not going to be able to enjoy those moments. And it's kind of weird, but that's how I saw it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's cool, man. I remember the reason I put ironic at the last of my list was because every time I kept thinking about the song, I kept thinking about the music video of her dressed in like 5 personalities riding around in the same car. So it's like, it's almost impossible to pay attention to the lyrics of the words and all that when you just like, it's like,
Yelling.
who's driving the car right now? Why are y'all in the back seat? This is not healthy. This is not safe. Someone call their parents.
yeah, I mean, so my number 5.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. I want to hear this.
My number 5 was "You Ought to Know," because I do like that song. I do, but it's not my favorite though. And that one, and that's the one that like is like so cat screechy to me. Like it's so freaking cat screechy. Like
he admitted it's one of his favorites, though. He did say that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well out of this CD, it's like picking the freaking pieces of glass out of your ass, kind of. But
this is my favorite piece of glass.
Like it's one of those things. Like there's so many unheard lines. Like, did you tell her that you told me that you would hold me until you die, or until I died, but I'm still alive, and I'm here to remind you of the mess you made when you went away. It's not fair to deny me.
oh, and what show was that on? Where like they were talking about like "You Ought to Know," but like they're doing it like in like all these different celebrities kept popping up. Like
Letterkenny. Oh no, you're talking about a different show because they were doing Alanis Morrisette things and listing off TV shows or song titles on one of their episodes.
no, there was a TV show where like they were talking about like Alanis Morissette's "You Ought to Know," and like Dave Coulier popped up at one point. He's like, I don't think she's talking about me. Oh, it was I Love the 90s on VH1.
Oh yeah,
And
I remember that.
They actually got like Dave Coulier and a bunch of other celebrities from time that she was supposed to be dating, and they all like popped up like commenting on the songs like I think she's talking about me. I don't know, I think she's oh wait a minute. Or am I thinking of How I Met Your Mother?
Unknown.
I think it might have been How I Met Your Mother actually. I think
Pineapple.
yeah.
How did we get where did the pineapple come from?
Classic. But I don't know. I forget what show it was on, but it was just funny because at the end of it, like Dave Coulier is like, "No, she wasn't talking about me. Cut it out."
Yeah,
But
I'm calling bullshit on that one.
It might have been
me too.
Actually,
Right.
I think you're right. I gotta check that.
I think that sounds like something. That sounds like something from a sitcom, not one of those docu-series.
Oh, actually, yeah. You know what? It was How I Met Your Mother, but it wasn't Alanis Morissette. It was Robin. It was Robin on How I Met Your Mother because she was like a Canadian pop star too, and like it was like a behind the music thing for her music, and they're like and there was like, who is she talking about? What celebrity is she talking about? And then at the end of it, Dave Coulier was on. He's like, she wasn't talking about me. Cut it out. Like I think like Scott Baio was on it too, and other like other Canadian actors at the time.
That's funny.
Didn't Alana Morrisette pop back up when like Linkin Park singer died? I remember she popped up during like a cause and she was like writing music again.
Well, that's good. I mean, as far
I,
as the writing music, but
I couldn't tell you. I don't pay attention to what she does ever. But number 4 was "Hand in My Pocket" because I thought she was talking about like playing with herself that whole song. But you know, the ladies like to cut a little hole in the inside of their pocket sometimes. You know.
but then they'll lose all their dimes.
Who carries change anymore but my 5-year-old daughter? Come on. I think I broke Joe.
I think we broke him.
I didn't expect that. It's a different point of view. I get it. That's awesome, though.
But you'll always be able to spot them out, though, because they'll be leaving trails of dimes everywhere they go.
Panties and everything's gonna be fire, fire, fire.
I'm behind up for this shit. But all right, well, and this is gonna be another one that makes sense because then number 3, it's ironic,
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's funny because my original daycare lady babysitter that I had like all through elementary school, like she was good friends with my mom after we stopped going to her, and like they were best friends, and like she would blast this song when she was like staying at our house for a few days because her and her husband were breaking up, and like she would be belting out from the bedroom she was staying in, like it's like rain, and I'm like, oh God, not again, not again. Like it's just like that song I think has been used as a breakup song for more women than I could ever count. But number 2 was "Head Over Feet" because that song was actually pretty good, and I haven't heard that one in a long time, but it did bring back like 90s feel to me. And then number 1 was "You Learn"
Yeah, that's a good one.
because that one's just classic. Like I can hear that, and that's the one song of hers I actually like. I can hear in a store and be singing to it almost. I mean, it's not. I'm not gonna be singing to it like it's some fucking 70s or 80s shit, but still, like I could sing to it a little bit. But
Not like
so yeah, those
party all the time,
those
but
party all the time. Party all the time. I can sing to every fucking day. I used to on every mixtape I made in the early 2000s, it was "Party All the Time" and then "Wang Chung."
That's about
It was a good mix right there. But all right, so that's my top 5. No honorable mentions, thank God. But Chancy. But
I was
the
trying to
CD
be accommodating to our guest. I didn't really know exactly what his feels were for music, so I was like, I'm gonna play it safe.
Hey, be
there's
yourself
playing it
always.
There's playing it safe, and then there's picking Alanis Morrisette, which is a step down. But
Well,
yeah,
the funny thing was that
I like Alanis Morrisette.
I listened to the podcast because I was getting excited like 20 minutes before the podcast started. And I listened to the one where you guys had a guest on. He's like talking, Chancy was talking about synchronicities. I was like, oh, here we go. He's like, you mentioned Alanis Morissette and you were going to pick it anyway. So like.
That was going to be my pick. Yeah. It was going to be my pick if I hadn't went with what I got. And then like, I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm going to pick it. Like, why not? I was going to pick it. I already threw it out there.
Well, I'm glad you did.
It's kind of cool how it plays into this to the synchronicity with your album and my album. I'm curious to see how it plays out with Jeremy's album as well.
It does because the album I brought to the table was one of the Nightwish albums that got me into Nightwish because this came out a long time ago and back in their old opera days, kind of, when their first female singer was very operatic in the way she sang. And this CD is just like, it's very Christian themed almost, but not quite. Like they don't mention names, but like the themes are Christian themes. And I kind of like the way they do it though, because Just it makes sense. But and I just love it. I mean, I love Tara. Yeah, Tara's like opera singing. Like I love her solo stuff she's done since she left the band back in the early 2000s. Like she's just an amazing singer overall. And I actually was almost going to bring one of her solo albums on the show like a month or two ago, but I just didn't because I chose to go with Savage Garden instead that week. But I was going to bring her on for that one. But so I love the city. I mean, it was so hard not to pull Jeremy on this and just say I like every song and here's the top 5, but I love every song I picked, but I managed not to somehow. But Joe, what do you think of it? I'm dying to hear because I'm like, I think I can relate. I think Joe will relate to this somewhat.
I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was like, "Fuck, what I do?" Like, I was like, "All right." And
I had the same feeling.
I was like, I have to. We're gonna do this. Like, I had that inspired action of like, I gotta do these reviews. So it's time to switch my thoughts up. And I started. This is the first album I started with, and I was like, oh man. So, but I did find some interesting things I did like about it, and I actually enjoyed the difference. I don't know the words to use, but the different style of how it's sang and how it was brought in, and it's not typical. I looked for the emotions within it because if you can connect emotionally to the purpose of this album and this message and what the songs are saying, you're going to see it. And I love the difference of how this woman's singing and how it's, I want to say opera is what you mentioned before, or
Yeah, operatic. Yep.
Operatic.
so,
Yeah.
but this is how I saw the synchronicity play out too. I was like, this has a deep like death rebirth to it, and like darkness to it, and that's how it kind of transitioned throughout the albums. And I was like, all right, I see that. And that's what I liked about it, is that I kind of feel that we all kind of have to go through our dark days. And that reminded me of the sweetness and the darkness of you're going to make it through, but you're going to have to die a little. Like, that's what I got from this. I don't know if you want my top 5 yet, or...
No, let Sir Chancellor give his review first. Someone jump into the top 5s.
All right.
Honestly, I mean, it's not as bad as some. I mean, there's been some of them where I couldn't even get through it, even if I was sick. I was sick and I listened to this one and I did all right. Came up with 6 instead of 5. Gave you one honorable mention. It kind of came in at the last second kind of thing. Like, I was going to skip the last song because I already had my top 5. And I was like, you know what? No, let's not do that. And then I hit it and I was like, oh, yeah, that's going on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And the operatic change in styling, because the last Nightwish album we listened to was a newer one, and it didn't sound that way before. So I was like, what the fuck is this? And not necessarily in a good or bad way. It was just kind of like, I'm not used to this. This is not what I prepared myself for.
Yeah.
And I'm also not very big into like doom metal, which is kind of what that genre falls into. It's like fantasy doom.
It's called symphonic metal.
Symphonic.
There's a full orchestra playing with them at some shows, but
fair enough. I mean, I call it doom metal because it's like, you know, knights and fucking fighting and, you know, Viking fighting and all types of stuff. Like, there are even words here that wouldn't be commonly used in the, you know, our vernacular, like wanderlust. Like, you could probably ask 50 fucking people in any, like, where I live, where you live, and I'm not sure exactly where he lives, but I'm sure between the 3 of us, if we each asked 50 fucking people what wanderlust meant without them having the opportunity to look it up on their phones, they probably wouldn't know.
It's a pretty common term, at least where I'm from.
Well, I get, yeah, but you're also of the culture that like spawned. You're the progenitor of the word, dude. Well, so am I technically, but
Hey, You circus folk have had wanderlust for years, so
Hey, we have. These are facts.
You called
But
him a carny?
what's that?
He called you a carny?
Who called me a carny?
no. I said circus folk. You don't call him carny, or you'll get in a fight with him.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for a fight. I was just making sure.
No, I knew he was playing because he was smiling, but I thought he said you called me a carny, and I was like, no, he did not. He did not call me no carny.
I gotta ask: has Insane Clown Posse come up in these albums?
Yes.
Oh,
I
but
actually
did not-
brought up.
He did it. He brought it.
Yeah,
not me.
the Carnival of Carnage.
Yeah, I'm with it. I had to ask.
It's about the only carnival I can tolerate. Really, is the Carnival of Carnage. But you know, there was a Facebook group where people try to find guests on shows, and somebody had said something about being a carny guy, and somebody tagged me in it because they said something nice about circus folk, because apparently they didn't get the memo that it's like Crips and Bloods. Apparently, I learned that at a very young age. You do not call circus folk carnies, and you do not call carnies circus folk.
What's the difference?
The difference is apparently, the true difference is that circus folk have talent. That's what it is. Because I mean, carnies aren't doing carnies aren't doing the tight ropes. They're not doing the trapezes. They're not training the animals. They just offer you rides and rigged games to steal your money and move on to the next town before you catch on.
Yeah. They're the workers.
Oh.
They're the
And
workers.
they smell like cabbage.
Yeah, they do. Why?
I don't know. It's probably because it's like boiled cabbage. I mean, it's an easy steeple to get at a store. It's easy to fix.
Either they don't shower and they just smell like cabbage.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but that's like with us circus folk too. I mean, we were some wandering folks too, because it was
Romania's there.
Romania, yeah, the Romani
hmm
gypsies.
Gypsies.
Then we got wise. Then we got wise, and we were like, no, not gypsy, circus folk. Yes, circus folk.
So, what did you do as a circus folk?
Everywhere I go, she's gonna be there. So
I'm actually no, you're good. I'm actually the second generation out of the ring. My great grandparents sold the circus.
That's pretty cool. And so they owned the circus. They would go around. What did they do? Were they trapeze? What were they?
My great grandmother did the tightrope and the trapeze, and she was like 4'11", 4'10", just this tiny little thing, just flipping and bopping all around on the tightrope and the trapeze and whatnot. And my great grandmother did like tarot and palmistry, which I actually picked up. I learned how to do that. And then there was animals. They had a couple of chimpanzees. One was named Tony. He wore like his own little custom-made jacket and pants.
Right.
And his favorite thing to do was drink 7-Ups and go run around and chase after girls at the circus. This is also like circa 1950, like 40s and 50s kind of thing. So like.
Pretty cool.
Nowadays, people see a chimpanzee running around dressed up in a custom Letterman jacket. I think they're gonna panic a little bit more.
Yeah.
Probably.
They're gonna be like, Michael Jackson's back.
Right.
That's wild though.
But
Yeah.
which I got damn. I mean, I didn't even think of that even, but I should have brought back my original. I should have went with my original choice for Nightwish in this one and done done. God, I can't remember the name of the fucking album now. But it's kind of carnival themed, circus themed.
Oh yeah. Well, circus theme's cool.
I'll bring it in at some point. It's I want to say it's called Storytime's the main song from it, but I can't think what the hell the album's called. But I forget. It might be Storytime. I also remember, but no, I want to go with older Nightwish so you can hear the original styling. And
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, I don't know. I heard. Well, when I get to my one song, my top 5, but you'll know. I'll tell you why. But so I had to do 3 honorable mentions for this because there's no way I wasn't going to do it because I almost pulled a Jeremy and just said I love everything on this. But my honorable mentions are Kinslayer because that song is so metal. That song is so metal. Like every time I hear that song, it's just Like that's one of the songs that got me Nightwish big time. Crownless, which I didn't hear that until I heard this whole CD years later, but this Crownless is an amazing freaking song. Cause I love timepieces, and that's just like such a timepiece. And Dead Boy's Poem, because that's like one of the most depressing songs they ever did. Like Dead Boy's Poem is just oof. It reminds me of Powerwolf in a way almost, but not quite. Powerwolf did a kind of similar song called Dead Boys Don't Cry, but which we'll get to that eventually, Chancy. Trust me.
They're not wrong though.
Yeah, well, obviously, but that's not true. Have you seen Lost Boys?
No.
You haven't seen Lost Boys?
I saw some of it.
Wait, are you talking
like-
about the one from the 80s? The Lost Boys
The
from the 80s, like Corey Feldman and
Yeah, the movie.
oh yeah. They were dead. Like undead. They weren't
Mhm.
really dead.
Well, the undead are dead technically.
Not really. Undead. Un meaning not the
Well, you have to
opposite
die-
of dead.
You have to be dead to become an undead.
They should have called it the Resurrected. It would have been easier.
That is a valid point.
And that
Or
that would
just
actually
the
go with-
changed. The
change,
turn.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But number 5 is She Is My Sin, because I mean, I think I looked it up at one point, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but I think it's actually supposed to be about like Jesus talking about Mary Magdalene. But
Interesting.
I think that's what they were basing it on, because I know this album is very like religious based in a way, but they do religious songs on a lot of their different CDs. Just this one was very themed that way. But number 4 was Bear Grace Misery, because that song is just so like oof, it pulls your heartstrings. It pulls your heartstrings. And number 3 is Wanderlust, because that's the first Nightwish song I ever found. But it was when I found it on LimeWire back in the day, it was called Gothic Sanctuary.
So,
I was-
title?
I just searched this. I searched like the word Gothic into like or goth into like LimeWire and just looked to see what came up. And that's one of the ones that came up. I was like, "Oh, what is this magnificent music I'm hearing?" And I went to FYE and bought a bunch of their CDs, and I was like, "I love this band. I love this band. Like everything they do is just incredible." And number 2, which is the reason I picked this CD 100%, is fucking Wishmaster. Just the way it starts out, like master, apprentice. Oof, like everybody I ever met that's into Nightwish, like that I didn't get into Nightwish. Like this is one of those songs that they fucking love, because it's like their version of Master of Puppets almost. Like it's just that opening, and then it's the way it busts into the heavy fucking like metal. It's like guitar heaven in that song. But I mean, it's also about like a freaking knight society and shit, like chivalry and all that. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, and I like the idea of master and apprentice. I mean, it kind of plays into like Star Wars as well in a way. So because the Star Wars, the Sith in me always saw that as like talking about the Sith lords. But so, and then my number 1, which would have been Wishmaster, but I actually forgot about this damn song, and I was like, oh my god, how did I forget about this? And it's Phantasmic, because that song is just a music. What you two?
4.
You
4
got
out of 4 out of 6 we matched. 4 out of 6.
Well, I mean, Phantasmic or Phantasmic, however you want to pronounce it, is like it's almost like their version of Fantasia. Like it's just so many different speeds and so many different like melodies. I mean, when that flute solo comes in the middle and like that flute just busted out like into like a fucking flute jazz type thing, and then all the other instruments come back in trying to keep up with the fucking flute, like that's just like the most amazing music to me in the world. Like that, you can't play instruments better than that. You really can't. I've never seen this song. I've never seen a lot of the songs in this CD live, because they just don't perform them anymore, because they're too instrumental and they don't have the people playing the instruments anymore to do that.
Right.
But they might be going back to it, because the lead male singer just left after the last CD came out to do his own thing. He's retiring, I think, because he's pretty old. but he's retiring, and he's been like guest appearing on other people's albums and stuff, but he's not doing anything. He hasn't announced doing anything himself that he wants to retire for the most part. And they just signed on a new male lead who is more like he's more like a lot of the European metal bands are nowadays. Like he's from another European metal band, so they may I don't know their style may be changing the next CD they put out a little bit, but we'll see. They've changed styles so many times that it's still amazing and it's always good. Like they've not yet put out a CD I can't listen to all the way through. So that's my top 5. Joe, what were your top 5?
So this is the first album I listened to out of them all, and some of them I went back and rearranged the order of what I reflected on. I kind of all reflected on how does this impact my life, or how does it reflect in my life, and it's kind of what I always do. How can I learn from this or see this differently? The first one is I'm gonna go in the order I listened to because that's the same order I was like enjoying it. It was Dead Boy's Poem, and I would say that it's the first out of the list because it's this child, this boy talking about how like everything's written by this piano, like it's just all connected, and the pain, no matter what, it's a part of this journey, and it's letting go of this child self of I have to like move on. And dead, when I hear dead, even when I read cards for people or I'm talking to someone spiritually, death is just a chapter of life. It's like an ending to the next phase. And that's what I was listening to when I heard this. It's a painful like death to go from a child to an adult mentality, or even in the middle of that through all these things that are so disappointing. And so that's what I got from that. The second one was Deep Silent Complete. Darkest times bring light, and embracing the dark isn't always fun at first. You're like against it, and you're putting all this reasons to the darkness of yourself. And to me, I saw like the shadow self, and that's another death. Basically, it's like death with metal. But the way the songs were going
With
through,
metal.
yeah. The way the songs were going through, at first I was like, all right. And then I started hearing the woman's voice and the boy in the background. Like it kind of added to this story of this growth. Number 3 is She Is My Sin. Because we get into this fantasy of what lust is, and that's what they're talking about. Lust is not as creative as it's discovered, but pleasure haunts you, and sin with desire within. It's like shit. Yeah. Like you think it's bad, and we think it's all these things are bad, and then you start to experience what you feel and want as this fantasy, or even as a relationship. And that's what I was reflecting on, and I was like, this seems so toxic, and but why are we in this entrapment of like it's really just lust and fantasy? And I'm like, damn. So I went from like, what did I get myself into listening to this, to going, yeah, I get it. Number 4 was Sleepwalker.
Yes.
That was a good one.
I wanted to put that on my list so bad, but just at that point I couldn't add any more.
And like, you have no idea how many nights, like a lot of people would think like, whoa, something's wrong. But there's a lot of nights I don't sleep. There's some nights where I don't want to go to sleep yet. And I realized like there's something that calls to me at night sometimes, but this song's like, it's okay. Like sleep is ecstasy. Like you're not like letting yourself rest. And that's what I took from that. But sometimes we're also asleep in this world. It's like so many different messages, like ping, 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 ping. Number 5, Wishmaster. I felt this like warrior type of person, and the dreams coming true scenario. Like you have to see this through. It's within you. It's the calling. And I was like, this is top 5. This is it. And that's I'm gonna stick to that.
Nice. I could appreciate that list 100%. I mean, there's really not a song you could pick on this I would have a reason not to like, but I mean, there really isn't. Chancy, what did you pick, sir?
My honorable mention was Phantasmic.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 was Wanderlust. Number 4 was 2 for the Tragedy because that fucking solo is sick. I was just like, oh, hey, how you doing there?
That is a good song.
Number 3, obviously, Wishmaster. Number 2, was it Bone Grave Misery or how? What?
Bear Grace Misery.
Bear Grace. Yeah, I misread that shit. Yeah, that was really good. Bear Grace Misery. That was a hell of a good number 2. And then number 1 was Crownless.
Crownless is a damn good song. It's a damn good song.
It really is.
Every song on this track, every track on the CD is just fucking like one banging hit after another. Like it's just I mean, they're still amazing, but like their older stuff is just so. If you like if you can put up with the opera singing, like it's just, and her Tara's voice is fucking amazing. It's Tarja, so it's like the J silent almost, but like her singing is just amazing, and like she's put out like fucking 10 CDs since she went solo. Like she does amazing work, and she's just such a good singer. She's done so much good stuff. She was on a song with Within Temptation on that CD I brought up a couple weeks ago, Chancy.
I thought she sounded familiar.
Yeah, she's on that song "What About Us," and it's actually hot because at the end of the video, the lead singer from Within Temptation and her like fucking kiss at the end of the video, so it's kind of hot. But I mean, but European chicks, you know.
Well,
So,
you know,
oh, I do know. I've been on cruises with them. I know.
cruises. Shit, I just went to Europe. I didn't go. Fuck, you ain't gonna get me on no fucking cruise ship. Fuck that.
Why, dude? I got to smoke a cigarette in the fucking porch of my room and see a shark swim underneath. It was awesome.
I mean, that's cool. That's great, grand, and wonderful. But like, if something happens to that boat, you are in the middle of the ocean, sir. Chin.
I can swim pretty fucking good, so I'm good.
Ain't nobody swimming that good. Dude, Michael Phelps ain't even swimming that good. All right, I don't care.
I'll pull a castaway and fucking find an island.
Fucking.
I was just thinking of that movie.
That's a good movie, yeah.
I was thinking about that movie the other day.
My favorite part's the part where he sticks that fucking ice pick or the ice skate in his ear or in his mouth to fix that infected tooth. He knocks the tooth out of his head. I was like, fuck that. Fuck that. I would just be dead. It's over. Go drink all the salt water I can stomach. Let's get it out of the way.
I mean, I would go to that island. I'd find a volleyball that washed up on shore, and I would just paint face on it, and I'd be like, "So, Chancy, what are we doing today?"
Yeah.
And then if it flies away,
no cruise.
It flies away. It flies away into the sea in the middle of a storm or something. I'll just yell out to the screen, be like, "Chancy, no!" Hell, I'll even put some freaking like a gray ass seaweed on to make it look your hair and everything. It'd be perfect.
I can't listen to that song "One Hand in My Pocket" ever again without
really
what Jeremy said. Still,
I forget. Like some one of my grandpa's like the perverted old friends like said to me one time. He's like, you know, you got to cut a hole on the inside of your pocket so you can stick a hand there, and while you're at the club, you can just be like, waka 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 waka. And it's like, I'm just like, oh my god. And like since then, that's all I think about. I think about people's hands in their pockets. Like, I wonder what they're doing.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Now you gotta ask. Now you have to ask because the thought's permanently ingrained.
100% it is. But all right, well, we covered all 3 albums, and we actually did good. About 20 minutes an album. That's pretty perfect.
I blame the Rona.
Your Rona or my Rona?
Well, you have the Rona too. No, not your. No, not your Rona.
So, next week, Chancy, we have Unfiltered star Catalea Frost on, aka Sabrina.
Unfiltered.
It's like OnlyFans, but better.
Oh.
she's also a podcaster, and we've done shows. I've done shows with her multiple. I actually was at her show last night, and it released today
Yeah.
about men's turnoffs. Yeah, that was a fun show to be on.
Yeah, I'll
Woo.
bet. I actually,
Oh,
I saw the thing, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet.
Oh, I'll tell you, Jamie didn't. I got a lot of oh my god the whole freaking time she was listening to it, but she said it was a perfect episode. She said it was a perfect episode, but and it's fun to talk about men's turnoffs
Oh yeah,
because a lot of women don't care about that. So
no. Yeah, that's exactly the point. Yeah.
so we'll have her on next week. I'm not sure what she's bringing to the table yet, so I'm not sure what I'm bringing to the table yet because I want her to tell me what she's bringing first. Because
That's kind of where I'm at.
I don't want to throw something at her. She's gonna be like, "Ew, why'd you give me this?"
Yeah, like I'm not
I'm-
trying to bring her all Cannibal Corpse's hammer smashed face, when she's all coming with, Britney Spears or something light and easy.
She'll be bringing something a little more emo than that, I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's cool, but I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, 6 feet under torture killer or some kind of shit. Someday, but I ain't trying to. I like to try and keep it in the vein of where this week's probably the farthest I've deviated from the vein of what the guest has chosen.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of did. I mean, but
Pop,
yeah,
rap.
It all played out.
It
perfectly.
did perfectly.
I was gonna bring DJ Clay, one of his mixtapes, in, but I'm like, I don't think Joe's ready for that Juggalo sound. it might disturb him to some degree.
I might find something good in it now. Like the best thing I learned from this was that don't just avoid something. Don't judge a book by its cover, even after the first sounds. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. My favorite motto is fuck around and find out. That's my only
right.
But
That's science.
No.
I like it.
Joe,
Things I don't want to now, but
why don't you throw out the name of your podcast one more time and tell them where they can find it?
You can find my podcast. It streams on multiple places. It's just look under A Millennial's Third Eye, and there's very different modalities of readings and talking. So you can find it there. You can also find me on Facebook doing different live streams under A Millennial's Third Eye, and I hope to find you there. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Fuck yeah,
Not
man.
a problem.
Glad you stopped by.
Remember, folks, if you Google Millennial Third Eye and Pornhub is one of the results, do not click on that one.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you might see something you want to see, but I don't know.
I'm in the fuck around and find out industry, so I literally created an OnlyFans page just to fuck with people's reality to do an OnlyFans thing. I was like, you know what? Not yet. So it might come up on Google, but
that's fucking hilarious.
But I didn't do anything with it. They actually told me I needed another form of identity, and I didn't go ahead with that yet. But maybe I should just fuck around and find out. But it was literally just readings and stuff. I wanted to mess with people.
I was gonna say, I'm like, if you really want to do it, I mean, yeah, shit.
That's
do it on Facebook.
Dude, that's hilarious.
It is. But Chancy, where can they find you, good sir?
Here. The Book of Faces. This glorious cube that we have created. And I'm also on a podcast called Bracket Bastards. I think that drops on Sundays, I believe.
We go through this every week. It does.
Yeah, I know.
Pray should still listen one day and be like, "Fucking Chancy."
Why would he be surprised at this point? I forget who I'm supposed to be voting for half the time. They'll have just told me I go on a tirade about how fucking stupid whatever it is. Not necessarily stupid. I'm very passionate about things. So if there's something that I think that needs to be said, I get very excited when I say it. And then I forget what the fuck I was voting for in the first place. And it's like, shit. What was that? And then I don't want to ask what I'm voting for because they're like, "God damn it, you always forget." It's like, well, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do it on purpose just to make you think I forgot.
I do that all the time. I get
Right.
lost in a topic, and then I'm like, "Wait, what were we originally talking about? What's going?" You get passionate about it. I get it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I do it on breakfast. I used to do it on breakfast all the time too. I'd fucking just forget what the hell I'm voting about because Chancy would go on a rant or I'd go on a rant and I'd be like, I usually just blame Chancy though because everybody's usually went with it. But-
Everybody always went with blaming Chancy because I do tend to go on a tangent. I don't know. What can I say?
Who else but
Oh,
Chancy?
Dapper yapper.
I just forgot. I'm gonna get one of those freaking animations made for this show where it's who else but Chancy, and then it's just you dance, and then it's just you animated dancing around like Quagmire.
Fair enough, man. I'm okay with it.
But you can find us on the Paranormal the New Normal / Maniacal Music Musings podcasts with a S Facebook group. You can find us at Juggalo Bastard Podcasts on TikTok. And you can find us at Maniacal Music Musings on YouTube. Just search the name. All our videos are uploaded to YouTube. TikTok, I still have like hours of work ahead of me, so yay. And you can find me as at Juggalo Bastard on TikTok and the Gram. And if you bring Grandma weed, I'll love you. That's gonna do it for us tonight. We'll be back next Tuesday with Sabrina from Train Ride Podcast and aka Calais Frost from Unfiltered. And trust me, boys, she's worth the little bit of money you got to pay to get to see everything. So see it all. And we will catch you all next week. Say goodbye, Chancy.
Goodbye, Chance.